Abortion has been a contested subject in America since the 1800s. The United States was founded on male dominated conservative Christian values. Even today, with the passage of Roe v. Wade, the decriminalization of abortion has remained a contested subject, mainly for the facts that over 3,315 abortions are enacted today, and at the height and the record high of abortions committed in a single year was that of 121 million, as compared to the world average of 42 million. But the Supreme Court ruled that the Roe v. Wade that abortion was legal as it concerned the right to privacy in regards to a woman's right to control over her body. In the 1800s, women were not considered equal. Even with the passage of the 14th Amendment, it only applied to recently freed slaves. In the 1880s to the 1960s, abortion was legally criminalized, especially for the fact that the male-dominated American Medical Association lobbied Congress for the passage of conservative values and thus outlawing abortion. Women thus were forced to have dangerous backstreet abortions that ultimately led to either gangrene, infection, death, even living with life being sterile. Abortion legally led to the arrest as well of women. Women who were going to seek abortions and were caught in the act were usually jailed. And in some cases, the doctors or physicians enacting an abortion were jailed for the crime of murder. Roe v. Wade in 1973 brought into question of a Texas court and Texas legislature that outlawed abortion. Justice Blackmun wrote the majority opinion of the court and acknowledged that the decision concerning women's right to privacy and also the societal forces grounded in the United States were brought to the table in contestation. The Supreme Court upholds rights between privacy, acts of marriage, contraception, family, childbearing, and privacy in the bedrooms. Blackmun personally thought if women are forced to have abortions, it would strain their lives and their future, and overall the difficulties of motherhood. He acknowledged a right over one's body and the right to an abortion was fundamentally constitutional. But he did acknowledge that states and the federal government do have a say in regulating the practice of abortion when the question of the woman's health or the fetus's health is brought into question. However, the court had to decide whose health was precedent to the other. If protecting the fetus was the issue, and the actual abortion would still be criminalized if the fetus had legal rights. However, this was found to be not true, as the woman's health is actually precedent to the fetus's health. Thus, regulation can occur, especially when abortion poses a greater risk to the woman's health as compared to remaining pregnant. Medical science found that up until the first trimester, mortality in abortion is less than that of birth. Thus, preventing abortion up until this point is unconstitutional. Justice Blackmun also, with the majority of the court, had to define when life actually began. If personhood was defined as when the fetus is inside a woman's womb, then the fetus would have legal rights and thus abortion would still be criminalized. But this was not the case. Blackmun and the majority of the court defined personhood as that of being postnatal and at the point of viability, sustaining life independent of the mother outside of the womb. Texas law, which is what was brought to the table, stated that life began at the moment of conception. However, this was founded under religious and philosophical arguments as opposed to actual being proven by medical science. Thus, life sustained outside of the mother, the child has legal protection in the eyes of the government. But when the fetus is inside of the woman, it actually does not have any legal rights. Sadly, though, even with the passage of Roe v. Wade, there have still been many attempts to restrict abortion legally, such as waiting periods, husbands or parental notification, locational spareness, are all legal forms that prohibit women from exercising their right of choice over their body and their right of privacy. Justice O'Connor stated that these restrictions have the purpose of effect to place a substantial obstacle in the path of women seeking abortion, and thus is ultimately deemed unconstitutional. These prevent women from nonetheless practicing the rights established in Roe v. Wade. There are 5 reasons why Roe v. Wade is legal and why it should still be legal. One is that it was deemed legal in the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade concerning a woman's right to her body and right to privacy. Reproductive rights, number 2, reassert the right to privacy for women. Justice O'Connor stated the ability to have control over reproduction lets women participate equally economically and socially in the United States. Roe v. Wade thus legally liberalized women. Number 3, personhood in the United States is legally defined as being at the point of viability. Thus, fetus do not have a right as long as they are inside the mother's womb. Number 4, women denied abortions are more likely to end up on welfare, under the poverty level, and victims of domestic violence. Over 73% of women going to get an abortion cannot afford a child, and over 43% of them are already under the American poverty line. There is also direct correlation, as stated from the Center of Disease, that is stated in the CDC's, shows a correlation between the access of abortion and that of to actual crime rates. When women have more of an access to abortion clinics, crime rates have shown to be lesser in poverty-stricken areas. And Roe v. Wade came at a time of societal change. The civil rights movement and all kinds of movements were gaining legislative power in the United States. This shows that the Constitution is a living document, a Constitution that changes over time as society changes. Roe v. Wade applied the 9th and the 14th Amendment to women officially. But Roe v. Wade was not just about the right to having an abortion. It was also about the legal stature of women